just that bob, girl, that bob is not, it's not doing it for me. It's not. It's giving Timu Daenerys, to be honest with you. I'm like, girl, they was losing me, but they drew me back in. But honey, they really, their whole family. I was like, damn, it's like that. Nobody don't like her. She makes me uncomfortable every time. Definitely was giving very essay coded and not just only vampire fledging coded. So I have a crush on him. I have a fictional crush on him, to be honest with you. And see, Lestat played in his face and that's what he got. Akasha is coming, girl. She is coming. She waking up from that beauty sleep. She's like, I'm here. Magnus is just a vile ass character. A vile, creepy, nasty character. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are Juntain World. I hope you all are doing very, very amazing. So this episode is going to be reviewing the Vampire Lestat from episode 1 to 3. You know, life is lifing right now. I don't have a lot of time to review each one by one, so I'm going to just break down the first 3 episodes and my thoughts and my feelings towards them.
Thousands of fans love you.
I want millions, billions.
Why music? Why now?
We're doing a rewrite.
So I loved Interview of the Vampire. The first 2 seasons, I was instantly hooked. I didn't even know about this show going on, and to have, you know, 2 iconic gay vampires on my TV screen, yeah, that was a treat. So I got super obsessed with the whole mythology of the Anne Rice's books, and you know, I haven't read the books, but I do some little bit of research. I love the original Queen of the Damned movie with Aaliyah, rest in peace to the beauty queen. So watching the last 2 seasons, it just was incredible. You know, I love vampires, and make them gay, you got me.
I bet! Come on. Very specific detail to pluck out of thin air!
So starting off this new season with, you know, it revolving around Lestat, I was really excited and looking forward to it. And, you know, Lestat is one of my favorite characters of the show. I think he's absolutely iconic. But, you know, I don't think I was ready for the chaos and the dynamic to change between, you know, not having Louis and Claudia there. Rest in peace to my girl Claudia. But, you know, starting this season off, it was a lot going on in episode 1, you know. We were really following Lestat's monologue, you know, his adventure of wanting to be a musician and having a band, but while still dealing with the aftermath of, you know, Louis telling Daniel everything and letting his book go out, and him feeling dragged by Louis. You know, with Lestat, it comes, you know, very fun and sexy and that raunchiness that I love from the character. But I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a lot, you know, it was a lot going down in that first episode, you know. I wasn't that hooked quite yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. And you know, I kind of was missing the connection between, you know, Louis and Lestat in the relationship. You know, I think having both of them for the past 2 seasons, and with Claudia, it made, you know, I was just emotionally tied to their story and will they, won't they type of energy. Don't get me wrong though, Lestat is still fine as hell. That's Zaddy. That is the vampire Zaddy. And then getting introduced to Gabrielle. Ew. It was very uncomfortable. And then getting introduced to Gabrielle. It was very uncomfortable watching what was going down at the end of that episode. You know, I was wondering who he was texting. You know, like I said, I know a few things from the book, not major spoilers. But that ending was was a little bit off-putting. So jumping off to episode 2, once again, that very uncomfortable dynamic between Lestat and his mother, Gabriella, was very odd for me because I just was like, where are we going with this story, you know? Her accent is very off-putting, and she's been a vampire for like hundreds and thousands of years, so why does she still have that very, I don't even know, is it Romanian accent? I don't know. I thought maybe as time went on, like Lestat kind of dropped his accent from where they're from. And just that Bob girl, that Bob is not doing it for me. It's not. It's giving Timu, it's giving Timu Daenerys, to be honest with you. I'm like, girl. I will say though, I did love Lestat's fur coat. If that's what it is, his full fur pullover, that was tea, honey. He was killing them hoes. In the strip club, he was doing it. And then flashing backwards to his family and, you know, him being known as the Wolf Killer. I thought it was interesting to see where Lestat has his trauma from, you know, that's carried with him for 100 of years with his father and his siblings and his mother. You know, I see why he's so emotionally unavailable and cold. But honey, they really, their whole family. I was like, damn, it's like that. Nobody can be saved. Sheesh. Speaking of family, I'm really missing Claudia. Specifically the actress Delaney. I really miss what she brought to the show. I think she was the middleman between Louis and Lestat, and she also had her own character growth that I thought, you know, was very fascinating, very, you know, relatable to me as somebody a bit younger, and, you know, her dynamic. And then at the end, we get a Bruce mention, which I totally forgot about his character and how it was unresolved. More on that later in the next episode. But I was like, yes, okay, hold on. Louis, I see what you're doing. You're about to go. Him. I'm ready for it. Been ready. And girl, I know you heard that Akasha mention. I am so looking forward to Akasha finally coming onto this show. I know it's going to be at the end. It's going to be at the end, and it's going to be a cliffhanger, but I'm so ready. I'm loving every little sneaks and teases of Akasha that we're getting. I have to be honest with you, these 2 episodes were very messy for me. You know, I believe this season's going to be worth that kind of like rushed, chaotic beginning of this season, those first 2 episodes, but I think it will be worth it in the long run. And now jumping to episode 3, it was worth it. I love the entire interview scene with Daniel. I need to mention this, Daniel really isn't my favorite character. He actually sometimes irks me a lot, but that's the character though, that's the book, but I don't necessarily invest in him too much, you know. He's a little bit of a bugaboo for me whenever he's on the screen, but I loved his tension with Lestat during this whole interview process. This episode really took me back to the old episodes from the first 2 seasons. It hooked me. I loved every aspect of this episode. It drew me back in. They was losing me, but they drew me back in. I loved the entire, and it was just so like vindicating for him to read out Claudia's letters that she wrote about Bruce and her encounters with him. You know, it was so sad seeing that on Louis' face, but he knew he needed to really stick it to Bruce and what he did, because it's been so many years and Bruce is out here acting like he's the baddest in the city. Louis was like, let's take it back. You're gonna listen to this and you're gonna take it in before you out of here. And I just was saying earlier how much I miss Claudia, and look at what they did. Look at what they did. They brought her back. Now, I don't know if this is her descendant or whatever, but I was like, yes, sis, they got you back in the show. And I think we're gonna really be seated for what Louis is gonna do with this relationship with this doppelganger, Claudia. Magnus is just a vile ass character. A vile, creepy, nasty character. And the undertones that, they were giving in this episode, kind of, foreshadowing, it was almost essay. Like, I haven't read the book, like I said, so I don't know if that is mentioned in the book, but it definitely was giving very essay coded and not just only vampire fledging coded. So it was some deep metaphors there, and which were really, really nasty and harm me. And another reason why I see Lestat have this such emotional, almost burden and closed offness is because of the way he was raised and how he was turned into a vampire. He necessarily didn't want that. Which connects me back to how he was, the beginning relationship with Louis, and how he kind of, he was teasing him with trying to make him a vampire, but as well he knew Louis really didn't have what it took because Louis had a heart and he had a choice. I loved how they were switching back from the car scene and the hallucination that Lestat was having to editing it to what Louis was saying to Bruce, and how those two figures of, just vileness and how that translates to the whole scene that was going on. Perfect editing choice. Perfect suspense choice too. Akasha is coming, girl. She is coming. I was thinking back to the whole, in the first episode when the Detroit blackout, and now we see the CN tower drop and it's crumbling in the background. If you didn't catch that, I caught it. I was like, what does that mean? At first I thought maybe it was just, Lestat as a narrator telling how much he's crashing down because of what's going on. But no, after digging up and doing some more research on her, because I'm so excited for her to come, I need her to come now. Yeah, that's definitely her doing, and she's awakening, honey. She awakening, and she got a freaking mission to come on, and she is devastating this world. She waking up from that beauty sleep. She's like, I'm here. I love this episode. This episode really hooked me back into the show, and I hope they stay with this momentum throughout the next few episodes and into the final. Yeah, I really like this episode. The first two, I like them, but it took some time for me to feel invested again because it's been so long since I watched season 2, and it's been so long since the show has been back out on streaming. But it really, A+. And I just hope it keeps on progressing like this and makes me more engaged within the season. Following Lestat and following Lily, and now dropping Claudia into the mix again, or her descendant, whatever her name is, dropping her into the season. I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about in the next coming episodes. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this little review. I will be doing the next episodes 4, 5, and 6 as all one. Like I said, life is lifing, and it's a lot going on, and it's summer. So yes, but please drop your thoughts. Please like and subscribe if you can, and be on the lookout for the next episodes. Thank you.